input manager somehow. And the reason for that is this is the only place besides the audio callback where the input buffers are handled. So what I would say is right here when we create the class, where do we create the class anyway? It's not in this. This is so weird. Yeah. So there's there's also mic entities. So this is like there's a pretty long chain here. The mic entity is the thing on the wall that looks like this, and it shoots those squares, which now turn to rectangles depending on how long you use the mic. So this is a mic entity. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit faster. I'm sure it's really frustrating to watch, but so on input, on mic input, we create filter entities, and these are the guys that have the buffer. No, the input manager has buffer, so there's a longer chain. Okay. The mic entity always exists though, so it's as permanent as the input manager, as long as the level exists. So what we want to do is when this happens, we want to start populating this guy, the voice entity. But we have no access to voice entity from the mic entity. I think that's true. Okay. So the real question is if we want to do segmental loading. Is that the right word? Chain effect voice input buffer. So to go back to some of our other pictures, the real question is if we want to segmentally load, like right here, add these two, at this point in time, add these two input buffers, then add the next 3 or so whenever the loop comes around. Or do we want to just add everything in one chunk at the end and have it not available until then? That's obviously less flexible, but it seems a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is before we set the, well, we have the point right here, end input. We really should have a break here. I should do that up there too. Just in case we have more than one. We end the input here. But right before we do that, we want to add all the buffers that correspond to this input. Okay. So we're going to have to pass this through the mic entity. I could just attach that to an input, but I want to, this is not a premature optimization. What I want to do is blah blah blah. I want to be able to expand things so that eventually we can do it incrementally, because that will be useful. And it doesn't really hurt us to have one function called what do I want to call it? I want to call it add buffers. Sorry for that space out. That was a nice and long space out. And I'm going to use standard vectors because I love them. Any reason I shouldn't do that? There's a lot of reasons I shouldn't do that until we convert everything to the MM. I'm pretty sure mic entities are still M's. Okay. Well, the way to do is just have an add buffer call, and you do it one at a time. I would much rather deal with vectors. Yeah, let's convert this stuff right now. All right. So that is called voice entity. We have to change it to voiceentity.mm. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of the mallocs will be invalid. It's a pretty small issue. Yeah, I don't want to change that actually. It's a good idea to just do all my edits from Emacs. Is there no malloc? Whoa, what's going on? Alright, build. Voice entity as well. Wow, this is getting really confusing. Okay, where's voice entity now? Voice entity. Is MM. Mic entity is also an M. Mic entity needs to be an MM. I think we want the version on the disk, buddy. Okay. I'm gonna close this and open it up again because it's getting scary. I don't like when it says things like that. Right, so there's a lot of errors. No big deal. We're in the middle of changing everything to an MM. And we're going to deal with the errors one by one. I think they're mostly going to be malloc errors. There are actually many entity objects. Some are like camera. Some are just the base class. Okay, that's starting to look better. Let's build now. I think I changed all the entities, except for exit gate, damn it. So this is one example of a totally pointless waste of time. I'm not getting anything. Alright, so let's look at the errors. Filter, entity. Undeclared identifier. So we have to take a look at these one by one. This is just the price you pay for programming in this language. And I don't hate this language. But the computer human interface known as programming is still a ways to come. And that's fine. It's through struggles like this that we'll better ourselves and make better interfaces. So right now we are looking for line 101. We're looking for GL push matrix. Apparently there's no GL push matrix any longer, since I changed this to an MM file. Let me close this down. Sure, that looks fine. Okay, so I'm gonna be editing classes. Emacs filter entity .mm. No, I want